So thank you guys again for joining. Just a reminder that since we are recording, if you have your camera on, that may be like on the recording when we put it up on YouTube, absolutely up to you. We do ask that you keep your mic on mute during the presentation just so that we can hear Tracey very clearly, not have any background noise or anything. And if you do have questions, please feel free to message me in the chat, or we will have time for questions at the end. So thank you again for joining us. Like I said, our speaker this month is Tracey. She's actually going to be doing this month and next month as one of her final little projects for her internship. She was going to do the lunch and learns on some vocational rehabilitation stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and let Tracey get started, introduce herself a little bit more, and start talking about the subject. I will also be acting as moderator. So again, you have questions, anything, ask me. And yeah, so Tracey, just kind of keep me updated on, when to switch over
When
sides.
to move.
Yeah, and we will go
I
ahead
sure
and get
will.
going.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much for attending our court. I can't see everybody right now, but I'm just going to share from the heart and let Faith help me drive. So, um, again, my name is Tracey Cochran. I am an intern with RCEA and definitely working as a victim advocate. And my master's that I'm obtaining from Troy University is in vocational rehabilitation counseling. So I know that's kind of unique to some. So definitely reaching out and kind of stretching to share how what I'm learning and what we do with our CEA actually kind of coincides and it flows. So I chose this topic, getting back to work and life after assault, pathways to recovery and resilience. So it's several slides and some things we will delve into, but it's good information for you to go back and look at later where you can read more in-depth examples. But I'll keep you here all day if I stayed into it. And plus my voice may go out, so I apologize if it does. And I'm actually working kind of multitasking, so I'm on my true lunch break getting this done, but I wanted to share with y'all. So, Faith, if you'll move to the next slide for me. All right. So, basically, it's not on this slide yet, but this presentation addresses the journey of recovery and resilience after experiencing assault. We will explore the effects of assault, the importance of seeking support, strategies for creating a personal recovery plan, and how to successfully reintegrate into work and life. So on this slide that we're looking at, how can a vocational rehabilitation counselor assist as an advocate? But as you see, it's a little in depth, but basically overall, emotional, psychological support, career counseling, vocational planning. And under those topics, basically, we can assist in general, just like any other counselor, because in the program I do take the same classes as the social work students, the students that are doing clinical mental health. It's just a different branch of it. And at the end, we branch out into the additional pieces. So we're all taught the initial counseling techniques and skills. And so definitely from being an advocate of being mindful of, talking to a victim or a survivor, assisting. So coming from the offering a safe, non-judgmental space, whether that is discussing career, discussing the situation, the additional trauma that may have happened, the assault, the rape, but basically knowing how to work with them going forward. And it's basically kind of like a next step to after we do what we do with our CEA and in them visiting faith, which we'll talk about later, but getting them to that next place and being mindful. And I do feel like learning the things that we learn with our CEA and knowing how to help and talk with and listen to um, the clients, our people that call in and talk with us or we work with, it just helps you better assist them moving into that next step in their life. So even down to the planning, if they're having anxiety, and again, we'll mention that a little bit later, but returning to work or how would they feel, or even if they need more time, you can assist in both areas. No, definitely knowing the signs and knowing how to work with them, but also being able to help guide them, or and also speak with their employment, or and be an advocate for them that way to maybe get some modifications done. And we'll mention some of those in some other slides further on. So Faith, you can move forward. Thank you. That's just further about the agenda. We kind of touched on that, understanding our roles, um, just a kind of high level overview. So for this particular one, understanding the impact of assault, the view of an advocate, I would love for one of our interns that is on the call, and I can't see who all is here. I'm hoping that Shelby is on and would be willing to, just from what she's learned so far from being an intern and from training, if she could possibly just share something first as a view of an advocate. And if there's others, please feel free to chime in and just understanding from our perspective with RCEA, the impact of assault and the view of what you're learning, what you've seen, and possibly have worked with since you've been here.
Yes, Tracy, I'm here. I think what I immediately think of, Amanda says a lot, and it's the fact that we would like to think that everybody has a person. And when you're doing this line of work and you're experiencing the aftermath of these assaults, you realize that sometimes people don't have a person. So getting to be that person for them, for yourself is rewarding, but even more rewarding for them because they need somebody more than anything in that moment. So I think that's been the biggest thing that I've taken away thus far is the opportunity to be there for them is a blessing, but just being.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Anybody else that wants to give your insight of the impact for you and what you've learned so far? Okay, I'll share myself. So if somebody there.
Yeah, it's DeShayla. I was driving, so I was trying to hit the unmute.
Hey, DeShayla, thank you. Yeah, definitely. I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I haven't had too many. I mean, all cases are, unfortunate, but I haven't really had too many where they were just so distraught and devastated and uncomfortable, except from one. And they did have a person, so it was interesting to just see that dynamic. But just what I feel like an advocate is you just show up as yourself and you show up how you would want somebody to show up for you, essentially. Um, and like I never bring up the situation. Like, of course, we know why we're there, but like the last few times I've talked to people and we're just talking. We talk about what's going on in life, how school going, their hobbies, things like that. And sometimes we have similarities and we just click and just let it, pass as the time passes. Because a lot of times we're like in a waiting room or whatever, waiting on the same nurses. And so it's just bringing that human connection to play and kind of and almost being a distraction. Like, why you're there, but like in that moment, you're in the waiting room and you're just two people sharing a moment where it doesn't have to be so stressful and so, you know, antsy about the situation. You're just kind of in a moment of calm until, of course, the officers and things come in and you snap back into reality. But that's what I think being an advocate is. You're there in the moment to share a moment and kind of be that distraction or that anchor for them, essentially.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Anybody else? Like I said, I can't see, so please feel free to chime in.
I was just going to say that as an advocate, the times when they would mention being nervous about going to work is if it happened, like say that they were walking from their place of work to their home, and it happened on the way, to or from work, or it happened at work, or it happened. Um, I've done it for over 10 years, so I have had all kinds of different situations, but that is usually when it comes into play. One of my most memorable ones was someone that was headed to work, and I think the idea of getting out and going back to work and being in that same neighborhood where it happened was just absolutely, she was terrified to leave her place of her apartment.
Um, and that takes time. I mean, that, it's going to take time and work and effort. And we actually mentioned that, like I said, I took this a combination of from thoughts and information that I gathered, and they gave me definitely, they gave us a very good flow. So it's definitely even something to keep for next time. And as you see, as we go further, that we'll touch on a lot of things that y'all have shared, maybe high level, and definitely done from what you've shared with working with people as well. So I really appreciate y'all's assistance on that part. But Faith, you can move forward to the next slide. And so here we go with the emotional and physiological effects. You have different responses. Survivors can face various emotional responses. You have anxiety, depression, which is common, but you also have that too, going back, because those can be triggers, just like what Tom mentioned. I mean, depending on where it happened, how it happened, not only are you dealing with, and it talks about in the next slide, about your physical consequences. You have physical, and you could have physical injuries from the rape, from the assault, the trauma, but you also can have injuries that you don't see. You could have health issues that come up just because of maybe depending on the type of what happened and who caused the situation, or it could cause long-term health issues later. And then the importance of recovery, basically prioritizing physical health, but also mental health as well. So, and I'm actually flipping paper, y'all. I'm killing a tree. Y'all forgive me, but doing the same thing. So, impact on daily life and relationships. So, basically, going through these types of traumas with this rape or assault and things that happen, it does have effects on daily activities. It impacts relationships, and definitely the importance of support, which goes back to the lady sharing earlier, where if someone has someone there for them, that's wonderful, but we're there regardless. And then having people along the way, and having people, whether you choose to seek therapeutic help, if you choose to self work with it on your own, but just really knowing that this is not something that can happen and it just be okay. However long it may take this person to move forward, there is no different than any other kind of situation, whether it's grief, it's other things that may happen. You have to move at your own pace, and everybody's story is different. What may be for one person, they seem to have bounced back physically on the outside, but really may not have, but they still press forward. And then you have others that it even takes them longer to even want to connect with others once they've been through what they've been through. So definitely we have to consider and understand the impact of right then, the impact of as going through, whether they choose to move forward or press charges or seek additional help and assistance, that takes time. And then even going back to what life looks like after how long it may take them for others to connect with others and people that they were close to. So everyone's story is different. And so we get to, if you move to the next slide, seeking support and professional help, helping people help themselves. So in this one, I actually asked Faith, even though she's my moderator today as well, because she does take on the extra steps after we at RCEA take care of the initial victim and get them the assistance that they need. If they choose to need additional things and additional help, then they do get to work with Faith and speak with Amanda and other ladies to get them on that path. And so I'd asked if she would just kind of share from a professional side of her view.
Yeah, so from kind of my work with survivors, I have been doing like clinical, like long-term therapy for a little over 3 years now. And through this time, I've gotten to work with a lot of our survivors at RCA and a lot of survivors and other aspects throughout the years as well. Really, what I see so often is the just great impact that trauma has on day-to-day life, like Tracey was mentioning, right? And the impact that trauma has not only on, how the survivor sees themselves, but how they see the world around them. And that's really the place that I kind of work with them to address is, if the world is feeling like a safe and unscary place, then they're probably not going to be at high capacity for things like their job, for things like daily living activities. And so making sure that, in the help or in the work that I do with them, that we, address those things. Thankfully, I'm from a social work perspective, not that I'm biased at all. And we try to look at things very holistically. So it's important for me to be aware of, like, okay, you're telling me you're coming in with these symptoms, but let's look beyond kind of these symptoms. How are they impacting your day-to-day life? How are they impacting your work? Are you able to go to work, right? And I think from that perspective, it's awesome to have other services like, vocational rehab, because those can help assist, right? I can work through the emotional side of things, but, logistically, it would probably be beneficial if we didn't spend our whole session talking about, okay, what are the dynamics of the work office? How can you make your space safer? How can you address this or that? So I think that, what I would love to see, and I'm sorry if you can hear my dog, she's of course trying to come sit with me now that I've started talking, is that I would love to see, further collaboration between these fields. I think it would be awesome for us to kind of work on each other's strengths and supports. But in my time, I definitely have seen the impact of just trauma on day-to-day life in lots of ways you wouldn't even imagine or see. So I hope, did that answer kind of the question, Tracey? Did you want me to expand
Yes,
on anything
ma'am.
else?
No, you did perfect. And of course, as you can definitely interject as we go forward, because there are probably spaces as we go back, definitely in the other slides coming up. So thank you. And so here we come, actually, this kind of gives a segue extra from where Faith was actually speaking, the importance of counseling and therapy, just a little further of basically giving you, why is it so important? And as you see, our services with RCEA, offers the counseling as a resource, but also, we're giving them a safe space for healing. It's a secure environment, like she said. And no matter what, in the beginning, you need those things even before you consider what am I going to do when I get back to work? We want to get you as much help and love and guidance and support that we can in the beginning to move you to that next step. Exploring your emotions, as Faith would do, and learning coping strategies. And that's important no matter what you've been through, even considering going back to work, but just in general, because you can use those coping strategies before you go back to work and you're still in your transition of healing or moving forward. And then when you do get back to work, off subject, but relates, when we were learning things in our group meeting of techniques that help mindfulness and those are coping strategies. And so you can use that, like, for me, if I wasn't doing this class and I was having a rough day, I could come into one of these huddle rooms and practice some of those things to help relieve stress. I mean, of course, for someone that's been through something, maybe something triggered something, a memory popped up, you were feeling some kind of way, then definitely you can take that to kind of give you more of a calming effect or something to give you comfort. But then also working with management, working with your employers, your surrounding employees to understand also for someone, and again, we'll mention this in a few more slides up, but that understanding you need time, and that may look different for others. It may be that you have to branch off to somewhere by yourself versus to being in a group just because of the uncomfortableness. So definitely, this is very important in your healing process, in your moving forward process. We touch on support groups and community resources. These are things that we definitely share with victims and people that we encounter when we're out at our tabling events and events where we're speaking and sharing information to the community of things that we offer, but also corresponding resources that would help someone. And I think that is awesome that we network and work together to connect people where they need to go and refer them to places, even if it's something we don't offer, to make sure that the survivor is taken care of. So that's definitely, and that's one of the many things that I do love about working with this group. It's just the what we bring to from our place of what we're learning, yes, but of ourselves, and definitely giving the best to someone who at that time may feel the worst, may feel like everything is lost, but knowing that someone cares and that we're trying to help you, help yourself, help move forward. Definitely reiterating that it's not your fault. We're sorry that this has happened, but definitely let me help you get to what you need to make things as well as we can as you heal slowly but surely. And so I'm very grateful for that. So we can move through the other ones. Basically, it just gives you more information, legal advice. We don't really get into that. We just basically put you in the right direction with the authorities or whichever way you decide to go with the situation that may have happened. But just knowing that there's information in places that you can be referred to. If there's more things, civil things that you may want to do, that you can be connected with those things to help you, and being empowered through those things. And then having someone that's advocating for you, not only from the victim side and the surviving side, but also once you're referred, knowing that you can get the right legal assistance. I'm sure there are plenty of resources that will advocate in that way as well to help you move forward and seek some type of justice or empowerment for the situation that's happened. And then next we have, and it gave a topic of creating a personal recovery plan, your choice, your pace. This is probably something that you probably would work out if you were in therapy with Faith, or if they've chosen to go to another route, but they've seek professional help. Definitely someone would work with you or that victim, that survivor, to a plan to move forward even before you even consider going back to work. That may and probably is a part of that recovery plan of, maybe how often, or, when the doctor may have different things that they've prescribed or shared that they want you to work on first, and then work with you to move forward with your employment to integrate that back into a day-to-day schedule as they see that works for both of you. And so next we get into setting realistic goals for recovery, being, mindful that the goals that you set are achievable. Um, you know, definitely if it was something that was very, very tragic, and of course, being raped, being assaulted, even the thought being, if they didn't even get everywhere, but just knowing that everybody's situation is different, you can't readily expect someone to go from something like that and to just be able to jump right back in and just zoom through like nothing ever happened. No, you have to take baby steps, as they say, very small, obtainable steps. And then it mentions the importance of tracking your progress. So when you feel like, oh, I'm not moving, whatever it is that may give you a little stumble, that you can see, no, you have made great progress, and you have that support system, of course, that is helping you get through that process. And then celebrating the small victories. Definitely. Getting up is a victory. Moving forward, going out, trying to be around the people that you love and who love you, when you may at first have anxiety, maybe some PTSD, some other reservations, you feel you have different emotions. Being able to step out of that comfort zone and that box to slowly try to regain and empower yourself of you take back a little bit each time. That is definitely a victory to celebrate. And then building a support network, and just knowing that this is very important. Um, Maybe even finding support groups that relate, that may be outside of our realm, but that things we may refer and things that you may find or other professionals may refer to you. Because usually, if you're in that area of someone that has been through something similar, or maybe someone in their family, they may not have been through it, but they went through it with them, it does give you some type of peace in knowing that you have a place that you can go to discuss and talk about what you've been through, to whatever level you choose to talk about it to. And then it also gives you sense of connecting with others, and that slowly will help you reconnect and be able to move forward. And you see, developing healthy coping strategies. This is what we were speaking about earlier. Mindfulness techniques, physical exercise, creative expression. Now, of course, if something happened when you're out, it may take a while for you to, maybe walk by yourself again, but even having someone with you to get out in some fresh air, maybe at a park where there are a lot of people, but at the same time, you can still be off if you choose to with that person, to just have those moments, to just appreciate, especially like with the spring now, the beautiful flowers that are blooming, the beautiful weather, and of course the cruddy pollen, but still a beautiful time. And it just reminds us of life. And then the techniques when you have moments that are kind of stressful, you're starting to feel some anxiety, something's coming over you, maybe something triggered something temporarily, being able to use those techniques to help get you back to a calm state. So now where we are is returning to work strategies and considerations, how to move forward. And so we have this question, how can trauma, assault, or rape affect my work life? Obviously, definitely a physical impact because of the anxious and nervous behavior of being around others, especially depending on what happened. It may be for others we take for granted, we're in meetings. It depends on what type of job, but even working in a fast food restaurant, a store, a corporate office, at some point you come to a collaboration state, whether it's a morning meeting before you get started, or you may have meetings, like I have meetings on and off all day, but at the beginning of coming back to work, that may be terrifying for someone that's been through something, an event like that. So having to explain to your management that you can go on virtual camera, but be off camera, but be in the meeting that way to yourself, or you stay at your desk, or maybe they meet with you separately after. So the attention is not on the survivor, but on what was there, and they can slowly move forward to coming back in the space as they feel that they can. And that comes into accommodations. It may be an altered schedule. It may be that they work half a day until, and ease into a full day, or work from home a little longer, especially if they're given maybe stronger medications to help with anxiety. They may not want them driving until they can ease the dosage back down to more accommodating, where they can still get around and function during the day and not possibly get sleepy or tired. And then, of course, remote work, if that's an option for some. And then we come, like I said, communicating with employers and even colleagues, of understanding. It's not that, you're wanting to give all details. That's for you and your professional health provider, but just them understanding overall that you've been through something traumatic. They will know that, obviously, and just understanding, giving some grace. If you snap and that's normally not your personality, or snap at someone, or your voice, you may seem a little short, or to yourself, for them to understand that it's just going to take you time. Being supportive, and definitely management is, you're not saying that you want the workday to stop for them to assist, but just understanding that if you've already discussed it with your management, that you may have to step outside a couple of times, or you may need to step away a little longer than a normal lunch break, to handle something, or to maybe even go and see a therapist, or whatever you're assisting or tending to on during that time, that they're just being accommodating as you move forward. And then next we come to the gradual reintegration into the workplace, and making it at ease in the transition. I think that's best for the survivor, and actually for the team that they work with. If it means part-time hours, most of the time, if people are, people will step up if they see that there's a need. And if that's what's required to get that person back as a whole person, taking on a little extra to allow that person to truly be moving forward to heal, eventually will pay itself off, versus to them just jumping back in and it's just too much, and then they have to step away. And that comes into modified responsibilities for a little while, at least. And then here, balancing work and self-care. This is important for everybody. Definitely someone that has been through rape or assault or trauma. But we as a whole need to do better at self-care. And so this is just a reminder in general of the importance of self-care. It helps us physically, mentally, and then this will definitely make the transition for someone that has been through something better when they're trying to transition to come back to work. Having a good work-life balance, being mindful that it does help sometimes. Some people engross themselves in work to get away, to unfocus on what's happening, and that's fine, but being mindful that you have to give yourself a balance, or you will wear yourself out in a different way and burn yourself out. So you got to just recognize, take it easy, take it slow. So, and that will actually improve productivity and satisfaction in both work and personal life. So here, we're almost at the end, but basically rebuilding confidence, moving forward. Again, that takes time with giving yourself grace and understanding that progress is slow but positive. Regaining your confidence. This will definitely help you empower yourself. Education, training, definitely, making sure that you attend. If you have sessions, make sure that you go. If you're going to support groups, make sure that you go to get that, because sometimes just being in the space with others that understand helps you more than you know. And then slowly getting back your independence, and then definitely growing. And then our next one, engaging in self-empowerment activities. Volunteering, surprisingly, whether you do it for a little while, whether you're doing it for a grade, whatever you choose to do, it really does. When you give to others and you put others first, it just gives you such a feeling of happiness, and knowing that you put a smile on someone's face. You never know that that may be the only smile that they got that day, or engagement, a positive energy, or support that they got. So whenever we can be that person, that voice, that light for someone, but also someone that has been through something, you giving back, that helps you heal slowly but surely, because you slowly take back of some of that was taken away from you by, and pouring into others helps to pour into yourself. And it gives you a sense of purpose. It kind of helps you find your way through that fog, through that moment of where am I? Where am I going? Now you have a purpose. You have something else to focus on to help you move forward. And then celebrating milestones and progress. Definitely, like we said earlier, each step, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction. Recognizing it, acknowledging it, embracing it. And definitely, you be an inspiration. You be surprised at the people who are watching, not only the people that are there supporting you, but you never know who may need that. And to see maybe where you started and where you came from. Of course, it's a struggle, every day, and it's not that it's gone away, but that you press forward and you move forward and you choose to grab back some of that every day for yourself to be the best you. That's definitely something to be celebrated. So my last one, my conclusion, definitely personal journey, resilience and strength, support systems, self-compassion. We need all these things. A person, a survivor, needs all these things to help move forward. Whether that be just from being a survivor from the tragedy, but also moving forward in life, getting back to life, being able to go to work. And so hopefully, in all this that I've shared, that you can see definitely how we relate, that counselors, whether you're volunteering, whether you're an advocate, whether you're working in this area, we all have similar goals. And at the end of the day, is to help people help themselves get back to their best self. As a voc rehab counselor, the specialty definitely is working with people that may have had a disability, whether physical disability, mental disability. It could be a temporary disability from a trauma, from a rape, from an assault. But basically, again, giving that guidance and support, and definitely with working with RCEA, I'm learning how to embrace and love on and be there for a survivor, for a person, no matter what. So as I would assist them, if they're coming back to work and they need to be assisted to find something that works for them, I can come from both places to basically definitely be that advocate for them in general, but recognizing that if something happened in small spaces, those triggers, that I would definitely make sure that wherever they're placed, that it is known that they can't be put in small spaces, that they may need to work in an open atmosphere, just recognizing things that others may not think about on those next steps to really help them move forward and be successful in a career path after everything has happened. So I hope that y'all learned a lot. I did. I'm still learning. Any questions, comments from what we shared today?
I wanted to say that your presentation was amazing. It was just the way the way that you broke everything down, and the way that you had the bullets and like things under each heading. It just made my brain so happy. It was so easy to follow and to just absorb. It was absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just because I don't know how long this A card is.
Amanda, did you have anything?
Time frame.
I think she may have just accidentally muted. Tracy, Shelby says.
Unmute myself. I got confused. Sorry. No, it was great. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thank y'all for being here with me today. I appreciate it. I was so nervous, so I appreciate y'all.
You did awesome, really. I don't know if, are you trying to talk, Amanda? I keep muting you. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, there are no other questions.
I'm sorry, I did have one other one. And I wanted to comment real quick on DeShayla's comment earlier. Hearing her talk about just talking off topic with her, with clients, it just made me so happy. I imagine she is amazing at that, because it was really nice to hear. I was like, oh yeah, that's what we do as advocates. Boy, it was just so reaffirming and delightful to hear. But I had a question for Tracey real quick. I wanted to ask, so we're starting up our organization. It's, very new. Do you have any suggestions about maybe approaching vocational specialists on working together so that we could create referrals? Would it be appropriate to offer to do a sensitivity class about trauma so that they're trauma informed? Or do you have any suggestions on how I could work with get a vocational specialist, who'd be willing to work with us?
Actually, my advisor in the program is my intern advisor as well as my school advisor, and that's his profession. I mean, that's what he does. So he's a professor and he's worked in this field for like 20 years. So definitely, Dr. Maiden, I can connect you with him. He would definitely be a great speaker. And he talks about that when he was talking with Faith with me about understanding from what we do with RCEA and the sensitivity of understanding what's happening and what could be happening with trauma and assault to work with others, was that he really embraced it. So I think that learning and sharing that information from that perspective will be a great help. So yes, I can